I'm with Benjamin Joffe, the founder of Plus8star, to hear about Asia's digital topography. What is your take on Asia's digital topography? What is big where?
So just to let you know a little bit about myself, I've been in Asia for the past 9 years. I spent about 4 years in Japan, 4 in China, and about a year in Korea. And what I've seen in those 3 countries is first that they are very different in terms of I'd say service usage, infrastructure development. So today, when I look at Japan, Korea, and China, I see that Japan and Korea are really leaders for mobile 3G penetration. They have above 70% of 3G penetration. They have incredibly advanced broadband networks, not your average like 1 meg broadband, but really like the 100 mega fiber to the home. So it's 100 times 100 factor in terms of infrastructure. Then China is a little bit different because today the world's largest market for both mobile and internet users, but in terms of infrastructure, it's still a little bit backwards. It's a little bit behind Europe. But what you see is the level of innovation really, in most cases, follows the development of infrastructure. So because you need the infra to kind of build stuff on it and then change society based on that. So you've seen that in Japan, where it's really the most advanced mobile society. Mobile usage really permeates all aspects of people's lives.
Okay, well, is there a way we can divide up Asia? There's the broadband markets. There's the developing markets.
My business really focused on East Asia. So I would say that Japan and Korea are really super advanced broadband markets for both mobile and internet. The internet is a little bit more internet development is a bit more recent in Japan. So in terms of usage, it's not as sophisticated as what you see in Korea. China.
So to summarize, you could say Korea is a broadband country.
Yeah.
Japan is a mobile country.
Yeah.
China is
a huge, let's say, development center for innovation on new models, because they have some very specific market aspects, huge number of users, low purchasing power, kind of limited infrastructure, on very large amount of venture capital money, very large number of entrepreneurs and developers. So that's a lot of good conditions to create some very, very interesting innovation, to extract value from directly from users in small amounts, but get some kind of scale out of that. So you've seen some services do very interesting things on mobile, with mobile communities, mobile couponing. Advertising models tend to work not as good because the market is not as developed as Western markets. So in a way, if Western markets go kind of top down from the media perspective in terms of business models, you see markets like China and also Korea go bottom up, trying to extract value directly from users.
So you're talking about something different now. First of all, we talked about the infrastructure, which is you're dividing the broadband markets and the mobile markets. Mm-hmm. Now we're talking about sort of different business models, and that's one. It's extracting from users rather than from advertisers.
Yeah, I'd say that with the media legacy we have in Western developed countries, it looked like the low-hanging fruit to get revenues from advertisers because media is so strong. In markets where media is not that strong and not that rich, they had to find other ways.
So these are countries with a history of control and of the media and not so much media.
It's not necessarily about control. It's also about market development. Like the whole media industry is kind of.
Well, I see the two as totally related. When you have censorship, you're going to have an undeveloped media market.
That's correct. I mean, there's definitely some
correlation,
significant impact on that. Yeah. But what's interesting is that the media type business models don't necessarily scale so well. And if you compare revenues of large social networks, for example, like Facebook in US compared to Mobile Game Town, which is mobile mixed with game social network in Japan, with Cyber in Korea, with Tencent in China, you see that the companies performing the best are the companies who actually rely on revenues from users.
Okay, and is this a fairly consistent thing around Asian countries? So while you would contrast it on the Asian countries on the infrastructure side, on the revenue side, you would say there's more of a regional theme?
I'd say it's because of the constraints of the environment, they had to work harder on finding business models that could work. But it's not. I don't think it's necessarily anything cultural. It's really related to market structure.
Yeah.
And today, what you see is that in Western markets, those same models are starting to be applied and gain traction. But if you compare the figures, some Asian countries like Korea, China, and Japan have a very significant advance. I looked at the listed market-listed social networks today on the planet, and aside from MySpace, which is part of News Corp, I found only 4. You have Xing, business social network in Europe. You have Tencent, QQ in China listed. The market cap is about close to $15 million, and the revenue this year will be $1 billion, and the profitability is about close to 50%. So this is really money-generating business that has been totally overlooked due to media legacy and a little bit of cultural barriers from in the West, and that's really a source of inspiration for the next step of innovation.
Okay, can we look at it any other way? We've looked at infrastructure, business model. What are other ways that we can contrast these different markets and understand the topography of social networking or social services or digital world?
Of course, I think it's important to consider cultural aspects, because culture, when you start to deal with content and services, a lot of it is really related to local culture. So when you look at something that is successful in a foreign market, it's very easy to dismiss it based on the difference in culture, say it's not relevant to you. So I think what's really hard is to look at something that is successful, understand what is not related to culture, to understand really what's the core, what's the fundamental value and fundamental concept that you can leverage in your own market, and then put on top your own cultural layer. So that's really something that's important. And to get this understanding, you need to have like really deep understanding of both markets and both cultures.
Okay, and are there any examples that have been successful?
There's actually some services have been ported successfully from Asia to other markets, and on the opposite, from the West to Asia.
For example?
So, for example, on the gaming side, one company in Korea called Nexon started online. Sorry?
M-A-X. How do you spell it?
Nexon, Nexon, is one of the leading online game companies in Korea. They started an online game called Maple Story. They launched in the US. They already do several $1 million in revenues every month based on digital good model. So this is like very well adapted because the product they had didn't have a too strong cultural coloration. Now, on other projects that it looks promising is that we actually, one client we helped adapt the Cyword model from Korea to launch a community for the Arab countries, which is a market of 250 million people that is kind of totally blue ocean at the moment. So I'd say that generally it's very difficult for companies successful in one market to be successful in another. But if you can understand the concepts they're working on and adapt that to your own culture, you can actually do a pretty good success.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thanks.